Hi everyone, I'm Linda Reimer, one of the librarians at the Southeast Steuben County Library. Welcome to Library Connections, our weekly readers, viewers, and listeners advisory video cast. Enjoy. Library Connections number 32, hosted by SSCL librarian Linda Reimer. This video cast is being put together on Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. Jumping right in with the top 5 fiction bestsellers of the week from the New York Times. At number 1, Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. In a sequel to Ready Player 1, Wade Watts discovers a technological advancement and goes on a new quest. At number 2, Deadly Cross by James Patterson, the 28th book in the Alex Cross series. An investigation of a double homicide sends Alex Cross to Alabama. At number 3, The Awakening by Nora Roberts, the first book in the Dragonheart Legacy series. Breen Kelly travels through a portal in Ireland to a land of fairies and mermaids. Well, that sounds like fun, but I digress. At number 4, The Return by Nicholas Sparks. A doctor serving in the Navy in Afghanistan goes back to North Carolina, where 2 women change his life. And at number 5, Daylight by David Baldacci. The FBI agent Adelie Pine's search for her twin sister overlaps with the military investigator's hunt for someone involved in a global conspiracy. And that one sounds very suspenseful and like a good holiday gift. But of course I am a librarian, so I would think that. Moving along to the top 5 nonfiction bestsellers for this week, also from the New York Times, of course. At number 1, A Promised Land by Barack Obama. In the first volume of his presidential memoirs, Barack Obama offers personal reflections on his formative years and pivotal moments through his first term. At number 2, Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. The Academy Award-winning actor shares snippets from the diaries he kept over the last 35 years. At number 3, Dolly Parton Song Teller by Dolly Parton with Robert K. Orman. The country music icon offers insights on 175 of her songs. Wow, that is a lot of songs. And she's a great song teller, that's for sure. And the library does have this book, so if you'd like to read it, give us a call and we'll put it on hold for you. And again, I'm digressing. At number 4, we've got Becoming by Michelle Obama. The former First Lady describes her journey from the South Side of Chicago to the White House and how she balanced work, family, and her husband's political ascent. And at number 5, Modern Warriors by Pete Hegseth. The Fox News host and former combat veteran interviews soldiers about the different kinds of battles they encountered. Jumping in with our first recommended read for this week, this one is a neat nonfiction title. It's called The Daughters of Yalta, written by Catherine Grace Katz. When the Allies met at Yalta in 1945, the British and American delegations included 3 unusual members. Kathleen Harriman, who served as her ambassador father's official hostess in Moscow, coordinated the American arrangements. Sarah Churchill, a wartime intelligence analyst, acted as her father's aide-de-camp. And surrogate First Lady, Anna Roosevelt, was her father's gatekeeper and sought to protect his failing health. First-time author Katz centers the perspectives of these women in an intricately detailed history of the Yalta Conference. The history presents its activities and negotiations from their positions on the fringes of the official business. Drawing on letters, diaries, and personal papers, she offers an intimate portrait of the networks of friendships, shared professional histories, and other links that were forged in Anglo-American diplomatic circles and which shaped the conference's progress. Additionally, she shows how, for the three daughters, like all who were touched by World War II, the conference and the war were transformative experiences. This work will appeal to readers intrigued by diplomatic history and the World War II era, and I think it will also appeal to anyone who likes biographies. And that is the first recommended read for this week. Moving right along, our second recommended read for this week is a mystery. It's called In a Midnight Wood. It's a Jane Lawless mystery written by Ellen Hart. Beloved heroine Jane Lawless finds that some secrets don't stay buried forever in Mystery Writers of America Grand Master Ellen Hart's In a Midnight Wood, the 27th mystery in this cultishly popular series. Minnesota private investigator Jane Lawless is headed on a little getaway. She and her best friend, Cordelia Thorne, plan to visit their old friend Emma in her hometown of Castle Lake, while also participating in the small town's local art festival. Between the festival and an upcoming high school reunion for the class of 1999, no one in Castle Lake is quite sure who will make an appearance. But back in 1999, Emma's boyfriend and Castle Lake High School senior Sam Romilly went missing. Everyone thought he ran away, though the town rumor mill has always claimed his father murdered him. Today, within a week of his class's 20th reunion, Sam's remains are found in someone else's burial plot. Suddenly, the case is warming up fast. People who knew Sam, friends and enemies alike, will be in town for the much-anticipated reunion. It's up to Jane to sort the innocent from the guilty before it's too late. And that is our second recommended read of the week, and that sounds really good to me. I got to put that on my to-read list. Moving on to our first audiobook recommendation of the week. This also is a thriller. I seem to be on a thriller mystery kick this week. This one's called Don't Look for Me, a novel, written by Wendy Walker and read by Teresa Plummer. At the start of this exemplary psychological thriller from Walker, guilt-ridden Molly Clark runs out of gas in Hastings, Connecticut. 5 years to the day after the death of her younger daughter Annie, for which she blames herself. She gets out of her car and starts walking, but never reaches home. 2 days later, the Hastings police find a handwritten note that Molly left in a hotel room, asking her family not to look for her. 2 weeks later, 21-year-old Nicole, Molly's older daughter, receives a tip from a woman who claims she saw Molly, the day she disappeared, getting into a stranger's truck. Despite the strained relationship between Nicole and Molly since Annie's death, Nicole decides to investigate. When she learns of another woman who vanished from Hastings, she tries to determine whether the two disappearances are connected. Chapters from Molly's perspective that reveal her present whereabouts heighten the tension. Distinctive, well-developed characters complement the skillfully paced plot. This moving look at the bond between a mother and her children reinforces Walker's place at the top of the thriller genre. And that is the Starred Booklist Review. Our second audiobook recommendation of the week is called My Brilliant Friend, written by Elena Ferrante and read by Anne Goldstein. This novel, the first in a trilogy by Italian author Elena Ferrante, offers the engrossing story of two friends, Elena and Lila, whose lives crisscross over the years. Hilary Huber's subtly shaded performance couldn't be better as she reveals the complexities that separate and connect the two women. When adult Elena learns that her volatile, impulsive childhood companion has disappeared, she decides to write Lila's story and the story of their lives together. Ferrante's dense, rich prose provides the perfect palette for Huber's artistry. She draws clear portraits of each woman and her family, as well as the small town outside of Naples, where they lived just after World War II. Huber's delivery of this well-plotted, absorbing story of friendship will leave listeners wanting more. That's the audiophile review, and that's a top-notch book. It's gotten great reviews, and as it is the first novel in a trilogy, if you want more, you can continue reading about the story of Elena and Lila, or listening. Moving on to our streaming recommendations for this week, we've got three. The first is the new HBO documentary Between the World and Me, which is based on the best-selling book by Ta-Nehisi Coates. First published in 2015, Between the World and Me was written as a letter to Coates' teenage son and recounts the author's experiences growing up in Baltimore's inner city and his growing fear of daily violence against the Black community. The narrative explores Coates' bold notion that American society structurally supports white supremacy. Based on the 2018 adaptation and staging of the book at the Apollo Theater, the HBO special combines elements of the Apollo's production, including powerful readings from Coates' book, while also incorporating documentary footage from the actor's home life and archival footage and animation. Between the World and Me is directed by award-winning director and Apollo Theater executive producer Camelia Forbes, who also serves as an executive producer alongside Coates and Susan Watson. If you're looking for a top-notch documentary, check out Between the World and Me. Our second streaming video recommendation for this week is actually 65 separate recommendations. It's the best of the Carol Burnett Show, which is newly available through Amazon, Roku, and other streaming platforms. And why this is new is because now 65 complete episodes are available to watch. If you've never seen it, The Carol Burnett Show was a great variety show. It featured hilarious comedy skits and musical performances. It was a classic variety show that ran for 11 years, from 1967 to 1978. The show became a classic while it was still on the air as part of a Saturday night TV lineup consisting of some of the best comedy shows of all time, including All in the Family, MASH, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, The Bob Newhart Show, and to cap off the evening's entertainment, The Carol Burnett Show. Burnett herself was inspired by the classic comedy work of 1950s TV comedy pioneer Sid Caesar, and her love of classic Hollywood movies, the plots of which were frequently worked into skits for her show. The show featured stellar comedy performers including, in addition to Carol, Vicki Lawrence, Harvey Korman, Tim Conway, and many others. Videos of the Carol Burnett Show have been available for years. However, due to the cost of paying licensing fees to musical performers and songwriters, which of course is expensive, the shows available for streaming have been heavily edited until now. Now, 65 complete episodes, selected by Carol herself, are available to stream. In the tumultuous year we found ourselves living through, I think we all deserve a good laugh or two, so check out the Carol Burnett Show and get your laugh quota for the day. Our third and final streaming recommendation for this week is The Christmas Chronicles Part 2, available from Netflix. If Mrs. Claus designed Santa's village, why isn't it called Mrs. Claus's village? Kate gets stuck on this oversight in The Christmas Chronicles Part 2. Other questions seem more urgent. If Santa can conjure dollhouses and electric guitars out of thin air, then why does he need to purchase AAA batteries? And when a time machine appears in his sleigh, it's a wonder Santa doesn't rewind time to before a disgruntled elf swipes his village's power source. But such snags can't spoil the holiday spirit of this sugary, busy Netflix sequel. The story picks up 2 years after the first movie, as Kate, now a pouty teenager, is trying to avoid spending Christmas Eve with her mom's boyfriend's son, Jack. Before long, a twist of fate thrusts Kate and Jack into the North Pole, where the pair, as well as the grown-ups watching, get a treat. A day with Santa, played by Kurt Russell, and Mrs. Claus, played by Goldie Hawn. Like its predecessor, in which Kate traverses North America delivering presents, The Christmas Chronicles Part 2 trades in child fantasy. Once in the snowy square of Santa's village, Kate and Jack never want to leave, and who could blame them? The director, Chris Columbus, fills the village with marvels, toy factories, storybooks, a swarm of beatific elves. Even dinner with the Clauses is a feast of dessert. Mrs. Claus explains that her recipes pack cake and brownies with the nutrition children need. It's too bad she couldn't do that for adults. But I digress. The kid-friendliness of the movie extends to the story's darker edges too. Bad guys are pranksters. Crossbows shoot foam darts, and wickedness is no match for Christmas warmth. As Kate and Jack's adventure turns to lessons in love and courage, the movie starts to feel a little mechanical, like the village's churning candy cane mill. But its output is always as sweet. And for those of us looking for a sweet holiday treat, we will be rewarded by watching this cozy tale unfold. And finally, our Hoopla recommendation for this week. This is a downloadable audiobook by the author Lucy Foley, who has had a smash hit this year with her book, The Guest List. This one's called The Hunting Party. It's from a couple of years ago, but it's timely, and if you like mysteries, this will be a good one to check out. So having said all of that, let me tell you about the plot. Everyone's invited, and everyone's a suspect. For fans of Ruth Ware and Tana French, a shivery, atmospheric, page-turning novel of psychological suspense in the tradition of Agatha Christie, in which a group of old college friends are snowed in at a hunting lodge, and murder and mayhem ensue. All of them are friends, and one of them is a killer. During the languid days of the Christmas break, a group of 30-something friends from Oxford meet to welcome in the new year together, a tradition they began as students 10 years ago. For this vacation, they've chosen an idyllic and isolated estate in the Scottish Highlands, the perfect place to get away and unwind by themselves. They arrive on December 30th, just before a historic blizzard seals the lodge off from the outside world. 2 days later, on New Year's Day, one of them is dead. The trip began innocently enough, admiring the stunning, if foreboding scenery, champagne in front of a crackling fire, and reminiscences about the past. But after a decade, the weight of secret resentments has grown too heavy for the group's tenuous nostalgia to bear. Amid the boisterous revelry of New Year's Eve, the cord holding them together snaps. Now one of them is dead, and another of them did it. Keep your friends close, the old adage goes, but just how close is too close. So that sounds really cool. I may have to read that. As I've mentioned before, I'm more of a reader than an audiobook listener, but that sounds like a thrilling seasonal title, The Hunting Party. And finally, our odd duck recommendation of the week. And this week I'm going to talk about something fun and dog related, as you may have guessed. Homemade doggy treats, which I thought was a great idea. I was inspired by the Laura Bella's posting on Facebook that you see on the left there. It says Laura Bella's a Scratch Bakery. Don't forget your fur babies this holiday season. Our doggy advent calendars are all ready to go. And I thought, oh, what a wonderful idea. So many of us celebrate at this time of the year, whether it's Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or a combination of those, that it's nice to include our, canine members of our family along with our celebrations. And I'm sure that if Laura Bella's is out of advent calendars for doggies, I bet you anything that they would be willing to make you doggy treats for your dog companions. On the other hand, if you're a cook, if you're a baker, if that appeals to you, it never ever does to me, but if it appeals to you, Good Housekeeping had an article with 15 best homemade dog treats to pamper your pup. And I selected just one of them to go through quickly in case someone would like to make some homemade doggy treats. So on to that here. Easy homemade dog cookies. Ingredients: half a cup of canned pumpkin, half a cup of creamy natural peanut butter, 2 eggs, 1.5 cups of whole wheat flour, 1 cup of oats, and then for the frosting, if you want to add frosting, half a cup of natural peanut butter, 2.5 teaspoons of whole wheat flour, and 1 tablespoon of water. So once we have the ingredients, on to the instructions. I'm going to give you the 8 steps. The first step is to preheat the oven to 350 degrees and jointly line a cookie sheet with parchment paper. Step 2 is to use an electric mixer and beat together the pumpkin, peanut butter, and eggs until combined. Step 3 is to gradually add in whole wheat flour and then the oats. Step 4. Transfer dough to well-floured countertop or surface and dust with additional flour. Step 5. Knead gently as needed until it forms a cohesive ball. Step 6. Use a rolling pin to roll dough out to a 1/4 inch thickness and then use a cookie cutter to cut into the shapes. Step 7. Use a spatula to transfer cookies to baking sheet and then bake on 350 degrees for 20 to 24 minutes. Step 8 is to allow the cookies to completely cool before serving or frosting. And you don't have to frost the cookies, of course, but if you'd like to, the frosting instructions are as follows. In microwave, warm half cup peanut butter for 15 seconds until it can be easily stirred. Then add water and stir well. After that, add flour and stir. While the icing is still warm, spread it over the cooled cookies. Reheat the mixture for another 10 seconds if it becomes too difficult to spread. The frosting will harden a bit as allowed to sit, but can be served to your dog at any time. So if you're game to make your dog some treats, there you go. There's a top-notch recipe from Good Housekeeping. Have questions about this weekly video cast? Send me an email and I'll get back to you. My email address is reimerl@stls.org. That's reimerl@stls.org. Currently, the library is open Mondays and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and for right now, we're closed on Wednesdays, except to students, and on Sundays. And that is the end of the new Library Connections content for this week. What follows are a few informational tidbits for any new viewers. The tidbits include directions as to where you can connect with the library online via our website, catalogs, blogs, and social media pages, links to articles used to create this week's video, otherwise known as references, and the library's contact information. On this screen, we see the library's website, appointments page, and StarCat. Moving clockwise from the top left-hand corner, we see the library's website found at ssclibrary.org. You can find out a whole host of information about the library, including our current hours, holiday closings, calendar of events, and more. Just go to ssclibrary.org. Moving on to the top right-hand corner, you see the SSCL Schedule a Curbside Appointment and Computer Appointment page. And you might think, well, why do I want to do that? Because the library is open to the public now. Well, you might want to do that because as far as using a computer goes, we only have 6 computers available for public use right now, in keeping with the current social distancing guidelines. So if you schedule an appointment to use a computer, that way you make sure that there's actually a computer available when you get to the library. Which isn't to say you can't just plain drop in. You might just have to wait if all the computers are full. And as far as a curbside appointment goes, that's pretty much what it sounds like. You drive up by the Tioga Avenue side of the building outside the library's main entrance. And if you absolutely need somebody to bring something to your car, that's fine, but I would call the library and tell them that. You can also note that when you make an appointment online if you like. But otherwise, you pull up out front, you get out of your car, and there's a cart there which will have your bag of books or materials and have your name on it. Just like, paper bag, you might have a big luncheon, and you just take that and away you go. On the bottom of your screen, you see StarCat, which is the catalog of physical library materials. For example, print books, DVDs, music CDs, etc. StarCat is found at starcat.stls.org. This is the catalog of materials for all the public libraries in the Southern Tier Library System. So you can place holds on items available throughout the 5-county system, renew your books, see what you have checked out, and more through StarCat. The digital catalog with its companion apps Libby and Overdrive. You can actually go online to the digital catalog found at stls.overdrive.com and check out eBooks and downloadable audiobooks to a computer if you'd like to do so. You can alternately use one of the digital catalog companion apps, Libby, which is for new devices, and Overdrive, which is for older devices and Kindle tablets. And then you can just check out books through the app. You can also, just of note, if you have a traditional e-reader, the ones with the gray screen and the black text, you can also go to the digital catalog and check out ebooks and then send them to your e-reader, assuming you have a Kindle e-reader. If you have a different type of e-reader, there's a different and longer process to do so, but you can use it with library ebooks. For more information about that, call the library. Hoopla! The Hoopla catalog features eBooks, comic books, downloadable audiobooks, and streaming videos, including both TV shows and movies. All Hoopla items are available for Southeast DeMent County Library card holders for instant checkout. Now, because the library has to pay for each checked out item, there is currently a limit of 4 Hoopla checkouts per card per month, but know that when you go to the catalog, which you see on the left there, found at hoopladigital.com, you'll be able to check out anything you see there instantly. Now, if you'd rather use an app device, which includes smartphones, tablets, and smart TVs, you look for the Hoopla app in your app store, which is seen on the right. The library blog's full of fun content. We have several of them: Book Club for Adults, Corning NY History, Creation Stationery, the Makerspace blog, Story Musings, the blog hosted by the library's resident author and head of adult services, Michelle Wells, and Tech and Book Talk, which is mostly readers and viewers and listeners' advisory tidbits with a few tech tips thrown in. If you have questions about library services during the pandemic or want to make an appointment for curbside pickup, you are welcome to go the traditional route and simply give us a call. The library's telephone number is the same one it's had for many, many years. So if you have an old phone book, you'll find the number in there. It's also easily had online, and it's 607-936-3713. Social media. Just a weekly reminder, you can connect with the library, read library news, and post questions to the library via social media. The library has pages on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. In relation, each video in this series is available on demand via the library's YouTube channel after it has first been shown on Facebook Live. And here is our first page of references for this week, and one more screen of references. And that's Library Connections for this week. I'll be back next week with a new edition. Have a good weekend.